Welcome home. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. We are Baltimore positive, nothing more positive than doing what we're doing right. This is going to be a great segment. We're at Fadley's. We're at Lexington Market. The big sign is up. We're pregame Oriole right as we tape this, which is a great opportunity to tell everybody it's a great place to come and do the pregaming for the Orioles. They are open. They're going to be holding later hours for Orioles season. It's all brought to you by our friends at the Maryland Lottery. I have the Magic 8-ball scratch-offs to give away. They have been lucky. Mike Evans from the Maryland Zoo is about to get number 27 there. I think that's a lucky number 27.
That feels good.
I've done a lot here today about Baltimore and about the city and opening day. We had Mark Viviano at length. We've had Luke Jones stop by on his way to the ballpark, Ron Cassie, all the credentialed media here today, other than this guy. He is. I invited Kirby. I invited Shannon. They have been here, and they said, do you mind if Mike comes? And I'm like, well, I've never met Mike, so this would be even more fun because I'm going to learn more things. I was out at the Maryland Zoo 3 weeks ago today. It was, 3 weeks ago today or 2 weeks ago today. My dear friend Bill Cole from Cole Roofing is a board member at the zoo.
Trustee, yep.
And an advocate of all of the animals and all that people love about animals. I watch him become a little boy every year when we go out and do this. Last year we did the hippopotamuses or rhinoceroses. Rhinoceroses.
Yep, rhinos.
I always mix those two. Hippos are the Cincinnati and Henrietta.
Hippos
I know, but
like water, rhinos are land mammals.
rhinos are like dinosaur looking. Like, you know, when you get up on them, you feel like you're in a different place. This year, leopard. We did the leopard this year.
She's
and
cool.
my wife somehow thought we were doing something else because we sort of led her down a different pathway. Chimpanzees.
Mm-hmm.
We thought we were doing the chimps, but we did the leopard. And it was it was like a 65-degree day that day. It was like a great day to be at the zoo. And we just learned so much about each one of these animals. You could sit for hours, if not days, and study, learn. Your place is great. And more than that, you do boozing events, which I'm all about brew at the zoo. My wife is too. Sometimes she needs a ride home. And you're doing this light thing that's kind of new, right? It's a brand new thing. And my wife hit me yesterday. You're here because of my wife. My wife's like, you ought to get the people from the zoo on to talk about the light thing. I want to learn about that. And I'm like, all right, so here we are.
Well, it's a tough thing to talk about on radio because it's so immensely visible. We're literally you're going to see the zoo in a whole new light. We're installing these sculptural metal and silk covered works of art.
I'm thinking Light City and what Light City was in Baltimore years ago, which was, I lived at the harbor then. I thought it was the greatest idea ever.
Yeah,
I just thought it was an art thing that's so cool with the water and the harbor. And I'm thinking at the zoo, in the middle of the woods, you're going to, I know how creative people can be with light.
Yep.
and how light does something to your soul in a way that's the reason people go to Vegas. It's the reason people like cities. You know, the light part of it.
They call Paris the city of lights because,
right.
For a reason.
So you're doing this thing, and I think the interesting part is for any old schooler like me, you have a whole zoo out there that got outdated, right? Like you had exhibits that just no longer were considered humane, no longer safe, out of date. You had a whole part of your zoo that had literally they're just cages is what I would say, right?
Yeah.
That's what they were. Right?
Yeah, and they were small, and they didn't any longer. They didn't meet the standards of animal well-being that a modern zoo, an accredited zoo, goes for. So for a very long time, that section of the zoo had been closed. It's called Main Valley, and if you grew up going to the zoo as a field tripper, back in the day, that was the zoo. That's the old part of it there. So here we are. We're about to turn 150 years old next year. And Kirby Fowler a couple of years ago and the trustees like Bill Cole started thinking about how we can reinvent that part of the zoo and how can we create a better experience. So the first thing they did was they opened it and they talked about the history of animal care and how that's evolved.
Educational.
Why those old structures, they looked like torture chambers. They looked creepy and kind of gothic. But that was the best we knew how to do at the time. Well, now we know better. So the oldest part of our zoo is going to be the birthplace for the rebirth of the whole zoo. So
it was the front of the zoo at one point, right?
It was the front, and it is again. But people have been walking through. So we were treating it like a history lesson for a while. But that was buying time for what's about to happen next. So we released a strategic master plan a couple of years ago, Kirby and the board, and that calls for new habitats in that area. It calls for new concessions and new guest amenities. It called for a brand new parking lot, which opened last fall and is amazing. And
I always remember parking on the cobblestone out there.
That's
That's
right.
part of the charm.
Well, not if you had a stroller or you were in heels
I
or
think about that.
you had mobility issues. That wasn't. It was. And when we built that, it was to let rainwater through. But over years of cars driving on it, the soil got so packed it wasn't even doing that. So our new parking lot actually has underneath. It looks like the.
I haven't been to your new parking lot. I'll be honest with you. I haven't. I've been up at the Mansion House every time I come.
That's right. Well, the new lot has it literally it looks like the Sistine Chapel, but it's buried underground, and that's just for water storage. So every drop of rainwater that hits the lot gets filtered through sediment and hangs out down in that cistern underneath. And it's a state-of-the-art system that when the flooding event has ceased, we can slowly re-release the water back into. It'll ultimately end up at the Jones Falls River, but it'll be cleaner than when it hit the ground as rainwater.
I love clean water. I mean, I had Doug Workman on for Liberty Pure, one of my clients this week, talking about rainwater, well water, safety of water. So the fact that you're just thinking about water,
right.
The thing that blows my mind when I'm at the zoo, and this is probably what blows Bill Cole's mind, because when we talk about it, I talked to him for an hour this morning, how many people are involved? And every animal, whether it's a leopard, whether it's whatever it is, has this incredible ecosystem, and that every one of these animals has not just one person that loves them and cares for them. There are teams of people around the clock keeping these beautiful creatures alive, happy, moving about, and living long lives. And then the background to that is the science of mating rare animals, the pathology of all of these animals and all of these zoos around the world to try to make it more humane, make it better for kids, make it more educational, and make it better for the animals, right, that are in captivity.
Right. Well, events like Brew at the Zoo or like Spring Illuminations, which we'll get to, those are fundraisers for animal conservation. So for every signature animal species we have at the zoo, we have a concurrent habitat restoration process in country where these animals are from in the wild. So we're working with local partners in Namibia, in South Africa, on a dormant volcano in Panama. We're doing Bolivian river dolphin rescue. We're working with native species here in Maryland with the Department of Natural Resources. So for everything that's happening at the zoo, there's a lot of stuff that's going on outside the zoo to make this world a better place for the animals. Our African penguins, for example, that's one of our most high visibility animal habitats.
You want to get me talking about the penguins?
What,
you know my penguin story?
No.
All right. So my wife was diagnosed with leukemia 11 years ago last week at Hopkins. So it was 2014, March 20th of 2014. So my wife needed a bone marrow transplant to have her life saved. So needless to say, this was harrowing. She's 155 nights in the hospital at Hopkins, bald, neutropenic, all that awful stuff that happened. The man who saved her life twice. He saved it once in June of 14, saved her life again in November of 15. We did not know him, but there were letters exchanged through the registry that saved his life. They're now twins, right? So they bleed the same blood. So this young man, literally the night we met him online was 2 years to the day after her first transplant. So we met him online in late 16, right? The minute we met him online, we were texting, or IMing basically on Facebook back and forth. We met this guy that saved my wife's life. And we're like, what things in life do you want to do, and bucket list and all that? And he wrote this bucket list down, and it was in his handwriting in German. So Australia is not Australia, it was Australia, and it was all these things. And he said he wanted to see the penguins in Africa. That was on his bucket list.
Wow.
So, short story long, we went over to Germany, met him, met his family, had cocktails and do all the things we do over there. And then we flew him over here to surprise him for his birthday. And between that 2-month period of time, I kept saying to Jen, he likes penguins, he likes penguins. She's like, well, let's take him to San Francisco. That was on the list. Let's take him to meet Dirk Nowitzki. That was on the list because he's tall and German, right? And I'm like, but the penguins. And my wife loves animals. My wife is the biggest fan of the Maryland Zoo there is, period. She takes her sister to brew at the zoo. I have a whole rhinoceros story I got to tell you about. So in 2016, November 16, he came here for his birthday. And we did, and I found this on, I was blown away. I put Penguin Zoo, Baltimore, and you popped up, and I was ignorant. Kirby wasn't working at the zoo then. So it's not Don's fault, though. He told me. we did the penguin experience for him, surprised him, and blew his mind. First off, he was here meeting the woman he saved his life. He's met this and that, football games, crab cakes, my mom was alive, all that stuff. He had no idea that day that we were taking him to the zoo, no idea that he was going to hang with the penguins that he wanted to go to West Africa to be a part of. And they're little guys, little cute little penguins. And I don't know, that was almost 10 years ago, and now my wife is addicted to you. When she flies her sister in for brew at the zoo, I have to drive them around because they get all cranked up over there on all those little glasses. We only had little glasses. Yeah, you sure you did.
They are unlimited.
So, yeah, and last year, Cole invited me to the Accelerant event because we're bunkies, and he said, come on out early, we're doing a thing. And I'm like, it's a networking thing. I'll put something nice on, I'll shave up nice. Shannon will be there, I'll try to look nice and like all that. And we went out there, and they took us down to the rhinoceros house. I called it hippopotamuses because I'm being ignorant. Took us down to the rhinoceros. There's a dozen of us, and there's a little bench, and there's these giant prehistoric-looking dinosaur rhinoceroses. And I look up, and the first thing I said to Bill is, my wife's really going to be pissed. Like, how did you not tell me we were doing this? I can't even put a picture of this up because if my wife sees it, she's going to be mad. And I sat on it all night. I did my networking event. I went home that night. And my wife knew I was at the zoo. And she was working. She had to work that night. I went home, and she's like, what'd you do? I'm like, oh, nothing. I had a good time. Yeah, see animals? Yeah, I saw animals. It was all good. And I finally felt really guilty. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to let you look at the pictures. You know, I'm like, she's like, oh, you did the rhinoceroses. I did that with my sister last year. We did the whole experience. And I'm like,
so she was holding out on you.
I'm like, is that the day I picked you up drunk at Brew in the zoo? Yeah, we did it first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
That's why we went early. And I'm like, all right, I don't feel guilty anymore. But I took her to see the leopard this year. Boy, leopard's something, man.
She's cool.
Leopard is, I mean, the story about that leopard and her habitat and her way of life.
When she participates in her own medical care, she'll come up right up
She
right
gets
up to
her
the
own
fence line.
needles.
Yeah.
They were showing us all of this.
Yeah.
That she is a social leopard in some way.
Yeah.
And that makes her special.
Yeah.
Well, the Maryland Zoo's special. Mike Evans is here. I'm sorry for my stupid stories about your animals, but, like, it affects my family, and my wife loves your animals, and my wife made me bring you on to talk about this incredible light festival, which we're going to have to
tell
be
her
part of.
I owe
When
her a
is it
penguin
happening,
encounter.
and how long does it go on? Because I know it's soon,
So
right?
Spring Illuminations actually, I don't know when this is going to air, but it kicks off with a member preview on Thursday the 3rd, so tomorrow night.
Okay.
And then Friday the 4th of April, it opens to the public, and it's going to be running after the zoo's closed because it's a nighttime
It's a nighttime
event.
thing, right?
Right, so it's running from 6 to 10.
How many nights?
It's running through the end of June.
Every night?
Every night.
Wow. Okay.
Check the calendar. There are a couple weekday nights.
Okay, fair enough. So I come over about 6 o'clock.
Yep, free parking in this brand new parking lot.
Can I get a beer?
You can get a beer, and in fact, I don't know if you know the guys from Ekaben.
I don't know them, but I want to know them.
They have hooked us up with a special cocktail just for the event.
I think Steve's a genius. You're ducking me, Steve. He's never been on my show, and I love him. You know, he did this huge thing with my dear friends at Costas that has made me cry a couple times this week since Mr. Costas died. But his broccoli tempura is maybe, no offense to crab cakes, God knows I love them. The broccoli tempura at Ekaben, it's my, like, dirty pleasure. You know, some people do illicit things and they break laws and they feel dirty about it. I drive down to Hamden, and I go into the back door in the alley, and I come out with my little box of, and you have to eat it right away because it's tempura.
That's right.
You know, and I do my little dippy dip, and sometimes I eat the whole thing, and I don't tell anybody I'm even there.
No one needs to
I
know.
sneak in.
Yeah.
So, like, if I'm going to the city, I'll just sneak in and get my broccoli and get out.
Yeah.
And nobody knows. And nobody sees me, but I sit in my car like I'm doing something dirty, and because I'm not sharing it. But I love Ekaben. So there's your plug for Ekaben.
So we've got Asian-inspired dishes, but the star of the attraction it'll be a little bit like Light City, only more compressed because it's going to be throughout the first part of the zoo. So from the main gate all the way down to where the train and the concessions are, It's going to be lights everywhere. Some of them are animals, some of them are kind of abstract. If you remember at Lit City, they had like a light-up dance floor. We've got light-up swings. We've got all these amazing, like, photographable, Instagrammable moments that are going to happen. And I know it's going to be successful because, so right now, all these things have been set up. It took several weeks to set this thing up. And even in the daytime, without the lights on, people are gobsmacked. They stop our volunteers. They ask what's going on. What is this that's about to happen? And if one of the other reasons I know it's going to be a success is people who've seen this in other cities, like in Washington or Philly, they talk about how amazing it is, and they're like, I'm coming to Baltimore to check this out.
Well, and it's also in the middle of your park. It's dark at night, right?
Yeah.
So it really creates a different. They did a thing in Timonium. My friend did a thing up there during the holiday lights and lights. I mean, just drone shows and what fireworks represents. Light is something that after dark we're attracted to. So I can see me having a beverage. The zoo's open.
Oh yeah, well, not
parts of it.
Most of the animals are in bed for the night, and that's for their well-being. So there won't be. We'll have ambassador animals, but the main part of the zoo will be closed. So this is just about the lights and then the other experiences. So there'll be music. There'll be the other attractions we have.
You can't explain it all to me. People got to come and experience. I mean, see what it is, right?
That's right.
So I don't know what it is, but my wife already wants to do it, which means I'm going to be doing it.
So MarylandZoo.org, we're going to have a big reveal tomorrow. So right now you'll see the illustrations for it, and then tomorrow you're going to start to see what it actually looks like. Because I haven't even seen it all lit up yet myself, because they've been testing.
You haven't even done like a dry run on it?
Now we're doing that tomorrow with Bill Cole and the trustees and some influencers.
All right.
And then public Friday night, April 4th.
I have no influence. What night? Thursday. Okay, so it opens on Friday, open for 2 months, basically, right? Every night for 2 months. All right.
And then this is just the beginning. So the parking lot was actually the beginning, and then this is happening. And then in about a month, in the same area, this old part of the zoo that had been closed for a while, we're going to break ground on our new red panda habitat. So this is going to be the first combination of new animal species and new habitat constructed at the zoo in 10 years, and in that part of the zoo, we haven't had one in a while because
red pandas.
If you're ever having a bad day, just Google red panda, and you're going to go down a wormhole. When they get scared, they kind of rear up, and I think they're trying to look big and scary.
They look like raccoons. They get that thing going on.
Yeah, they're viral. They're pretty amazing. They got a big personality. They're little guys with a big personality.
All right, so let's name. I went onto the Maryland Zoo website earlier because I was trying to get the right name for your light thing.
MarylandZoo.org.
What's your light thing called?
Spring Illuminations.
Spring Illuminations. I just make sure I get that right. Spring Illuminations. So I roll off my tongue a little bit. So I went up there and like you can click on animals, species, mammals, reptiles, finding out all the animals you have at the zoo. What's your favorite animal at the zoo? What's the animal that we haven't mentioned that I've got to talk about? Because nothing's cuter than the penguins until you see the armadillo. And then, nothing's cuter than the armadillo until you see the leopards.
We have some porcupines.
We missed the chimpanzees. My wife got excited about the chimpanzees. And when I told her we were going to the zoo, she said, we're going to see the chimpanzees. And your gal that wrote to me that day for the event that we were doing, she put my wife on the thread and said, because we were supposed to do the chimpanzees, but we wound up doing the leopards.
Yeah.
There was something about feeding or something about the time of the day. It was 4:45.
A new baby.
You had a baby.
Too,
okay.
So that's changed.
She wanted to see the baby chimp. She knew about it. And the whole time we were in the car driving, she knew we were going to the zoo. She knew I did the rhinoceroses last year. She kept saying, are we doing the chimpanzees? And I had an email that said we were doing the chimpanzees. And I'm like, I'm not telling you. And I drove, we got there, and the whole time I'm thinking we're going to the chimpanzees. We got picked up, we went down, and they took us to the leopard. And we got to the leopard, and I'm like, okay, we're still doing the chimpanzees. And then we got like a half an hour into the leopard, and I elbowed Cole, and I'm like, chimpanzees. Yeah. And we didn't do the chimpanzees, and I never told my wife. And I told her on the way out, I'm like, I thought we were doing the chimpanzees. You know what she said? Oh, that's all right, we'll go back.
there you go.
So I got you a repeat customer out of that.
I love it.
Because she still hasn't been seeing the chimpanzees, so she wants to do that. So that's her thing.
The new baby Ivy is pretty spectacular. And actually, Baltimore Magazine, you just had Ron Cassidy from Baltimore Magazine here. Jane Marion from the magazine was out in the fall, and she did a story on how we care for aging animals. So it's like elder care and well-being for animals as they age. So they live longer in managed populations and zoos.
I learned that a couple weeks ago. All the animals live longer in a zoo, right?
So our oldest chimpanzee is a female named Joyce, and she's over 50 years old. And like any mammal who walks upright, she's got arthritis and joint issues because she's much older than the average age of her species. So she's a senior chimp.
Most of them die in their 30s, maybe, in the wild, correct?
It depends on the species and where they are. I'm not a chimp expert. I'm
right.
just the guy who works with them.
But she's living longer than she ever could have lived in the wild.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. So we actually have developed with physical therapists a whole stretching routine that we do with her. And we've trained her to do this, and we can the keepers can point, and it's all through metal mesh, because we're a non-contact zoo with the chimps. But you can point what's called a target at where you want her to move her limb, and they can get her to stretch and move, and it's the most amazing thing.
Well, they're incredibly smart creatures, right? I mean, and I think you see that. I mean, I see that with my cat on a day-by-day basis. Animals are beautiful. They really are. And they make everyone happy, including me and my wife. Get out to the Maryland Zoo for Spring Illuminations beginning this weekend. Tell me what day I'm going to be dropping my wife and her sister off. They're probably going to do the chimpanzees because they do this. That they're zoo people. You know, like they're about to fly out to Cincinnati and meet. Was it Henrietta? She's the most famous
hippo
zoo creature in America, right?
Yeah,
that's correct, right?
You know what?
Is it Henrietta? Is that her name?
I don't remember.
What's her name? I always get her name wrong. Anyway, but yeah.
Fiona?
Fiona. Thank you. Fiona the hippo. There you go.
Took me a minute.
So there are, it's like Shamu was at the SeaWorld, right?
Yeah.
But celebrities, I mean, every one of your animals is kind of cool.
Well, so that's the thing about these events. So like Brew at the Zoo, you can actually go, and there are different ticket packages that come with animal experiences. The whole zoo's open. So your ticket to Brew at the Zoo means you can go anywhere you want. You can take your drink or your seltzer with you. But you can also sign up for close-up animal encounters, special encounters with things like the rhinos and the penguins and the giraffe. And you can't do that anyplace else. It's Memorial Day. You can have a cookout with your buddies anytime, but Brew at the Zoo is Saturday and Sunday Memorial Day weekend, and it's a lifetime worth of memories.
It's also my wife's birthday weekend. That's really where that probably brings it in.
And the key thing about all this is all of the beer and all the fun and all the Chinese lanterns at Spring Illuminations, all those proceeds go directly back into animal care and the conservation of their wild spaces in the wild. So the penguins, the African penguins, one of our experts was down in South Africa and Namibia, where they're native, doing the nest counts and with the South African government. And it looks like, best guess, those animals could be extinct in the wild in 10 years. So
that's crazy.
The breeding program that the Association for Zoos and Aquariums has, which we're a part of. In fact, our bird keeper runs the whole. She runs the whole breeding program for African penguins in America. So it's the genetic matching, and we'll move our penguins.
When I looked it up to bring Niels, it said that your zoo is literally epicenter in North America for West African penguins.
We have the largest black-footed or African penguin population in North America.
Completely
second largest
freaked
in the world.
me out when I found out it was Niels' favorite animal.
Yeah.
Like that just was like, what are the odds of that?
Yep.
I think you might have still been the Baltimore Zoo at that point.
Oh, yeah.
How long have you been the Maryland Zoo?
That's before my time.
But it's in the last 10 years.
If you look
right?
at the signs on 83, it still says Baltimore.
Does
Zoo.
it really?
Yeah.
Well, you know where it is. It's
right.
Drudel Park,
Drudel.
if you say it right, and Druid Hill, if you say it wrong. What's that big construction dig going on there?
They were covering over part of Druid Park Lake for, I guess it's a water protection thing to keep our drinking water safe. So they're starting to wrap that up now. It's starting to look really cool. You can see where the park elements are coming together, and they're smoothing it over, and it's starting to look like a park again, not just a construction
site. The only way you make things better is to make them better, right? There has to be a construction period, and then there is the construction period for the Spring Illuminations, which we hope everybody gets out to. I will be taking some selfies there. I promise you this, And anything else coming online? Any other events? Brew at the Zoo's about 6-7 weeks away, and all summer long. Obviously, you guys are there. Anytime. Bring the kids by. Right?
Well, every day there's you can check and see the daily events. There are keeper chats. There's the penguin feeding. There's special moments you can sign up for, like a rhino or penguin encounter. We've also got adult prom, so this is for grown-ups who want to come. And the theme this year is, let me make sure I get this right. The theme this year is,
let me see if I fit into the theme or not.
disco rodeo. So shine up your spangles, dust off your boots. I'm
the disco king.
Yeah.
Look, I got my 1970s belt buckle right now.
Oh yeah, look at that. Are you
well,
kidding me?
well, this is a 1978 Pacifica, but this is my thing. We're playing the Boston Red Sox, so I'm wearing my Boston belt buckle here. This is my band belt buckle. So that would fit right in with disco, right?
100%. And
yeah, I mean that's a disco belt buckle if I've ever seen one.
It's shiny,
right?
so that you get extra bonus points for looking like a mirror ball.
And all I hear is "Don't look back," or is that more than a feeling when I look at the Boston belt buckle? I'm not sure. Mike Evans is here. He communicates for the Maryland Zoo. It is his first time here at the rodeo, so he didn't know what. He's actually prepared. It's unbelievable. He's ready for this show. Kirby and Shannon could not make it because they're over literally setting the lights up. I mean, I picked a great time to have you on. Like, my wife's like, you got to get the zoo on. They're doing Illumination. They're doing this cool thing they've never done before. And I remember hearing about it a couple weeks ago, and I can't believe it's here already. It's spring.
It's spring.
The Orioles are playing.
The Orioles are playing.
I'm at Fadley's. We're having crab cakes. It's fun.
The animals are waking up. The bears are coming out of hibernation. The turtles are coming out of torpor. They're waking up.
The bears hibernate at the zoo, too?
Yeah. Yeah, they go down in the fall, and they're just starting to wake up now.
My wife shares all these animal videos with me, and this morning she came over, and it was a Australian family renting some house in the Rocky Mountains of North Carolina.
Oh, I saw that.
And
with
the bear got into the hot tub and just kind of hung out.
I saw that.
Just kind of hung out. Yeah. No. My wife went to Asheville, North Carolina with her family and got a house in the woods 2 years ago. And they were there like 4 days, and they were drinking beer in Asheville, running around, doing all that stuff. And the last day at 7 in the morning, she sent me a video, and it's a bear in the backyard going through like the trash can. And I'm like, nah, I don't need to be there. The only bears I'm going to see at the zoo.
Safely,
once
secure.
they come out of hibernation.
That's right.
I'll come out. I'll come and learn about them there. I did take my wife to a grizzly reserve, like a preserve, in outside of Bozeman, Montana. And they had grizzlies of all kinds. And the neatest part about this place, this is about 7 years ago, we were out in Yellowstone. And I told her, only bears I want to see in Yellowstone are the ones at the preserve. I don't really want to be, like Yogi Bear, like, boo-boo. I don't need any of that. I don't need that stress in my life. But I took her, and this place had all of these beautiful bears, and the way the thing was set up, it was moaty, and it was out in the wilderness, where you could literally take selfies with you and the bear.
Oh, wow.
Because they were close, and it looked, and you could take pictures of the bears that you could come back and say, oh, I saw a bear. It doesn't, because it doesn't look like you took the picture at the zoo.
Yeah.
At all,
Yeah.
But it's, we love animals, so everywhere we go, obviously you can tell that, right?
Yeah.
My wife loves animals, and she feeds the squirrels and the deer and the raccoons and the foxes and all that stuff. But at the zoo, she loses her mind because she sees everything that she would want to see if she were to go to Africa. And it's all right here in the middle of Baltimore.
Yeah.
That's why she loved the leopard.
Wait, we've got some prizes coming up this spring, too. So where I said we're breaking ground on Red Panda, and then we're already at work on our next habitat, which will be for gibbons. We've got a couple new events coming back, and we got a lot in store for our 150th anniversary, which is in 2026.
So the country turns 250 next year. You turn 150.
Yep.
All right. Well, they've been doing it a long time. Formerly the Baltimore Zoo. Hi to Don Hutchinson. Hi to Kirby and everybody. And I always have great appreciation for Bill Cole's love of all things animals in the Maryland Zoo. So get on out, see the spring illuminations, get there at night, come on the weekends, go get hammered with my wife on Memorial Day weekend for her birthday, and do how many encounters can you do? Giraffe? Rhinoceros, penguins. What else am I missing? Chimpanzees.
Check the website. There's so many different ones. You can sort of customize your whole day. Plus, we've got the schedule of bands, and we've got great local. Ekaben's going to be there vending food. We've got Mount Royal Soaps, which has a stand here at the market. They're going to be there.
If I can get a neighborhood bird and broccoli tempura while I look at the animals at the zoo, I'm in.
That's right.
That's all I got to do. Mike, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for being a great first-time guest. Get out to the Maryland Zoo, marylandzoo.org. You find out all the information. One of the great assets that lift the city and make Baltimore so awesome. We talk about baseball and football and the harbor and all these awesome things and great places to eat. Don't forget about our friends at the zoo and the aquarium and everybody else that's down here doing good things. There's people say, well, nothing to do in the city. You just haven't experienced it. You got to come down here and get in on Baltimore. That's what I'm saying.
I literally took a scooter here from my house. There's so much to do downtown.
Yeah, and people don't appreciate it, and that's why they need us to tell them about it. That's all.
I have a secret.
Go. What's your favorite? Give me your secret. Go ahead.
My secret is the back fin, not the jumbo lump.
I can get you some right over there.
That's my favorite. That reminds me, my grandmother was old school, East Baltimore.
Where are you from?
Well, I grew up in Virginia, but my mom's from Baltimore.
What part of East Baltimore?
She, if you know where Peters Inn is on Ann Street.
Yeah, it's Fells Point.
Yeah, so
all
Fells Point and then Highlandtown.
All right. I always say to Miss Nancy, who's staring at me right here, right now, waving her finger, she'll be here tomorrow. My mom, we grew up poor in Dundalk.
Yeah.
So my mom bought special meat.
Yeah.
Not even back fin,
Yeah.
special meat. And we would just, mustard, mayonnaise, breadcrumbs, some Old Bay.
Yeah.
A little of this, a little celery seed.
Yeah.
And then she fry them up like hockey pucks.
Yeah.
And I like them that way. And everybody listens to me. You can serve me a nice Gucci, jumbo lump. You can serve it broiled, but to me,
crab cakes are
a hockey puck, perfect.
Crab cakes are peasant food.
There's only one place they still do hockey pucks the way they did them in the press box at Memorial Stadium, and that's down at the Davis Pub down in Eastport in Annapolis.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They still do them. That's the way they do them down there. They don't do them any other way.
My grandmother would go nuts. She wanted as little cracker binder in there as possible, but then she'd fry it up and then she'd put mustard on a saltine and she'd eat it on a cracker.
That's what they always did. That's the way they served them at the stadium back in the day. So when I did this crab cake tour, what's your favorite? What's the best? I'm like, they're all great. They're all completely different.
Yeah.
But I grew up with the peasant, and on weekends when we didn't have crab meat, my mom would get salmon.
Yep.
Salmon in a can. And she would make salmon cakes.
Yep.
Salmon cakes.
Codfish cakes. Coddies.
Coddies were all, obviously Baltimore's a coddy place, but my family, we had salmon cakes all of my childhood. I don't know that I've ever been in a restaurant where I can order a salmon cake.
Yeah.
And, my friend John Shields up at Gertrude's, he does various different kinds of crab cakes, and that's the one place where you can get different kinds of crab cakes, but there's nothing like a Fadley's crab cake. I mean, there's nothing like a jumbo lump, and there's nothing like really Baltimore and Maryland, because nobody, even a guy from Virginia, would never order a crab cake outside of Maryland, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Because you know better.
If you see parsley in it, run.
I had a bad experience. I did 30 crab cakes in 30 days, summer of 21. And I got a tip. It was from the Restaurant Association of Maryland. I'm not holding it against you, Marshall. But I was trying to do a crab cake in every county, and there's 23 counties in a city, 23 municipalities. Kent County barely has a town in it over on the Eastern Shore, so finding a crab cake there was about going to a burger joint, but I got one. I got sent to a place, I don't want to pick on Rockville. It's a good song by REM and all that, and Montgomery County. Went to a place in Potomac for a crab cake, and I ordered it, and they shipped their crab cakes. They had a sign that said they ship them and all that. Mm-hmm. It was more of like a deli kind of place with a lot of different meats and different salads. And it was a beautiful place, very high-end, very nice. They had wine there. It was a beautiful place. I'm not going to out them because I don't want to embarrass them because they don't.
They did their best.
They don't know. They're from Washington.
That's right.
Right? So it was in Potomac. It was a nice place, but they don't know what they're doing. So I went there and I got the crab cakes and I looked at it a little funny. And I was on my way to Northern Virginia to see Styx. I think it was Styx and Def Leppard, whatever. It was one of the summer concert packages. And I was having crab cakes every single day for 30 days. This was my Montgomery County crab cake, and I put it in a bag because we were tailgating. We were going out for the concert. We had beer in the trunk and all that. We pulled it out, set the chair up, put our music on. Don't stop, believe. So we're listening, and my wife said, get those crab cakes out. And I'm like, this is the 21st crab cake we've had in 21 days, right? Pull it out. I look at it. It don't look like a crab cake. I'm looking at it. Finally, I took a bite of it. And I looked at my wife, and she's like, what's wrong, man? And I'm like, I don't know. Let me give another bite of this. I took another bite of it. I'm eating it. I'm like, crunch. I crunch something. I'm like, what the hell is that? That tastes like celery. It was a chicken salad.
Oh, no.
Recipe.
Oh, no, with crab meat.
Dude, they took chicken salad and made it. God, I can't even say this here in Lexington Market. They called it a crab cake. And I'm like, it wasn't awful. It was just so weird.
It's just not.
It was weird,
it's
man.
Not as advertised.
It was like they took the chicken salad recipe and put crab meat instead of chicken in it.
Yeah, no.
It was really weird, man.
Yeah.
I don't even know. It was a Montgomery County crab cake. So and I told the Montgomery County executive, I'm like, Mark, I'm like, no. We're revoking. We're annexing you to Virginia or the district until you come up with better times, Mike is here. We're very, very appreciative of everybody at the Maryland Zoo for sending things over. And you don't eat crab over there. But a lot of the animals eat fish, and it really, the diets over there. Any animal eat crab?
So no, not crab, but like our penguins will eat seafood.
Little fishes.
Yeah, we have literally a restaurant-grade kitchen just for animal diets.
I've seen this.
And every single animal, from the smallest Panamanian golden frog to the biggest elephant, has a customized diet.
At every zoo around the world like that, right? I mean, the research that's gone into this, the love and care for these animals,
well,
it's
certainly at accredited zoos, and all the diets are specifically approved by our veterinarian team.
I always am blown away by how many people it takes to make the village exist over there. Get over and enjoy the spring illuminations at the Maryland Zoo. I got to sign off. I start talking about animals, and I run long, and you got to get back and get your lights on and all that stuff. Maryland Zoo, go see them at Brew at the Zoo on Memorial Day weekend. See them anytime between now and then. You can combine them, right? I mean, end of May, you'll get both, right?
That's
Brew
right.
at the Zoo, you'll get the lights too,
That's right, and the city's got Artscape happening that same weekend, so there's a ton of stuff happening right in the central part of the city.
And Artscape's right in Druid Park now?
It's right downtown.
It's still down.
It's down by War
They
Memorial
were
Plaza.
doing one of the festivals in Druid Park, though. Was that
AFRAM?
AFRAM?
Yep.
Okay. Because that used to be down in the parking lot between the stadiums, and I'm like, they picked a better place to do it up into the park.
It's a great park. Just come on a beautiful day. Rent out one of the pavilions.
And be careful of the deer. We saw them on the way. They're not. My wife saw the deer, and she's like, are they? No, they're just kind of running freely through the park, right?
The Jones Falls River Valley is a super highway of deer, geese. We've seen otter. We've seen foxes.
Right.
We've seen coyote. We've caught coyote on our wildlife camp. Deep in the woods, right in the middle of Baltimore
I saw
City.
a coyote out in front of my house last year, and it did not look like a German Shepherd. Yeah.
We're also a great layover point for migrating birds because of the water in the park.
Geese moving through and like all that.
Songbirds, anything that migrates that comes up through the Atlantic. Baltimore's a great place for seasonal bird watching.
I saw my first bluebirds yesterday on my bird feeder. I got pictures of them, so I'm ready. It's an animal spring and an animal summer. Get out to the Maryland Zoo. All of it brought to you by our friends at the Maryland Lottery. I have the Magic 8-ball scratch-offs. It's my last batch. We're going to be at Costas next week. We're going to be at Beaumont on the 17th. We're going to be at Cooper's North on the 23rd before the Orioles game. And then on the 30th, we were at Coco's Pub in Lauraville. My thanks to everybody from the Maryland Zoo. I got to thank Mark Viviano for coming by. I want to thank Luke Jones for stopping by. Ron Cassie at Baltimore Magazine. On behalf of Damie and the entire Divine and Fadley's family down here, and Hahn family, signing off from Fadley's. Go Orioles! Enjoy spring while we got it, and get to the zoo.